All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mark Frohnmayer, the CEO of Arcimoto. Welcome to our 2020 Q3 corporate update webinar. I'm going to start out by playing a slightly remixed company intro video, and then Chief Strategy Officer Jesse Fittipaldi and I are going to run through a short slide deck. And we're doing something a little bit different this time. We've brought together a panel of analysts. So the management team and analysts will engage in a discussion for the balance of the call. Eric Fritz, our Chief Marketing Officer, will be minding the Q&A through the Zoom interface. So if you have questions, those will get interjected into the mix as well. So with that, I am going to play a little video. One moment.
Arcimoto. We build rides. Light, electric, ultra-efficient rides that are outrageously fun to drive. Because getting this with this is nuts. We build Arcimotos for people and for delivery and for people who help people. We're a public company because we have a public mission and we invite you to join us. I'm Mark. In 2007, I went looking for something that didn't exist. Because then and now, we drive crazy big, multi-ton extractive rigs for all the simple trips. Times everyone, we pave over half the city, gridlocked, around a world on fire. I wanted a light footprint electric vehicle. Affordable, fun, and dialed for the everyday. I couldn't find it, and thus, Arcimoto, and a new platform for mobility. Twin electric motor front-wheel drive with a burly battery and a powertrain that sips electrons. We launched production of our flagship product, the Fun Utility Vehicle, in 2019. And from the response, we believe it lives up to the name.
This is really fun! Oh my God! Woo! Oh my God, this is so fun!
Very cool. And wow, does it handle?
Everybody wants it when they see it, and they haven't even driven it yet. The real joy is when you get to drive it, and then you just get the feeling of what it's all about.
Hey Mark, what's up buddy? Just want to let you know how much I am enjoying my amazing Arcimoto. It is an absolute blast. People chasing me down in the neighborhood to see it.
Let me guess, you want one?
I'm gonna buy shares.
Right on.
At the onset of the pandemic, we launched the Deliverator to bring the benefits of Arcimoto's platform to last mile delivery of essential food and goods. The Deliverator's spacious storage suits a wide variety of fleet uses. Its svelte form maneuvers through traffic with ease and parks in spaces no full-size vehicle can. Saving fleet operators precious time means money that flows directly to the bottom line. And we launched the Rapid Responder to help those on the front lines achieve their missions more quickly.
I think that the Arcimoto is the perfect vehicle to implement in our city. It's lighter, it's more efficient, it's quicker. There's the cost savings that are associated with it in terms of sustainability, maintenance. I see this as a daily deployed apparatus. How come the cops aren't using one of these?
We sell direct. Arcimoto adopters place pre-orders and configure options on the website, and vehicles are delivered directly to our customers. The curious can enjoy the Arcimoto driving experience at our rental centers, the first of which is now open in Key West. Our rental first model turns what is normally a costly hurdle to brand awareness into a revenue stream, and our partnership with HyperCar aims to provide a similar model for gig Deliverator drivers. Every Arcimoto is built here at our factory in Oregon, the AMP, where we transform raw material through part cutting, forming, welding, machining, and final assembly, all under one roof. With the growing demand for alternative personal transportation around the world, highlighted by our thousands of FUV pre-orders, the seismic shift towards home delivery of food and goods, and over 50,000 fire stations in North America alone, we believe Arcimoto is poised for expansive growth. Meeting this demand through mass production is now our primary goal, and that's why our new collaboration with Detroit legend Sandy Munro is so exciting.
The idea of scaling up production into the 50,000 plus units per year realm, as you look at this program, what is your level of confidence that this collaboration will be able to pull that off?
I'm totally confident. I think three-wheel vehicles are going to be more popular than almost anything.
as long as we can hit the right target price. And that's what we're doing. Quite frankly, you should have no problem hitting all those targets that you're looking to hit.
With the Monroe team's help, we aim to prove our model can scale and this venture can go global. Arcimoto is and always has been powered by a community of stakeholders with whom we share a vision of sustainable transportation, clean skies, and a future that's a whole lot more fun. We hope you'll join us.
So just to reiterate really quickly, again, the vision of Arcimoto is simply the right sizing of the vehicle platforms that we use every day. And by right sizing the platform to a human scale, we believe that we can deliver something to the market that is fundamentally disruptive in terms of price and sets a new bar for efficiency for daily transportation. We're going after a giant market. And we have our product family is built around slices of that overall vehicle market. If you've been following with us for a while, you've seen this slide before. And in what we announced this morning is that we now have a product that fits squarely into that fourth category. So the daily driving fun utility vehicle, the Deliverator for last mile delivery, rapid responder for those on the front lines, and now the Roadster, which is our sort of halo product, pure fun machine that we're incredibly excited about, and incredibly excited about the partnerships that we've developed to put it into the marketplace. We are using one platform, and it's actually Samir who came up with this notion of multiple shots on goal for one platform that shares the very same economy of scale. And if you follow vehicle companies, you hear a lot about platforms that work across multiple different vehicles. For us, it's a little bit different. I mean, approximately 90% of the parts are shared between all of the products on the platform, and we plan to use the very same assembly line to build those products. So the three that we had talked about previously, the fun utility vehicle in production now, Deliverator and rapid responder are in pilot. And then we teased both the Cameo, which is our lead into a flatbed utility vehicle, and then the Roadster we announced development of just this morning. So the overarching goal for the company today is to get to mass production. We have built out our team, really filled key seats in Q3, both in the internal team as well as industry collaborations. And probably, the couple really significant ones that have been recent are the development work that we're doing with Monroe and Associates. Over the summer, we did really kind of a high-level run-through of the whole vehicle architecture and a dissection of every single part and assembly process. And what we're engaged in right now is actually our first 3 engineering projects in tandem with Monroe. And that's an updated design for the front clip for mass production, a full rigorous cost down analysis for the parts on the vehicle, and then a deep simulation analysis that will lead directly into the light weighting of the product. So the other really critical collaboration that we have done is what we announced with DHL. And I think it's hard for me to overstate the importance of that. What they figured out was how to get vehicles from our dock into the driveways of Arcimoto customers as a common carrier. And that really, that is going to simplify the process of delivering vehicles for the whole United States, and ultimately provides a springboard to the world. So what has been typical of vehicle companies that sell direct, is sort of a piecemeal approach based on different states' franchising laws. This gives us a common solution for all of our customers, and has the added benefit of allowing us for states where they are delivering from Arcimoto to a customer where we don't sell direct, actually is I think more optimal in the sense that we can actually book the revenue when it leaves our dock instead of when it arrives at our customer. We also announced that Progressive, the leading motorcycle insurance carrier in the country, now carries the Arcimoto as part of their web interface. We've teamed with Road America for roadside assistance. And what you'll see over the course of the next year, we believe is more and more of filling out those key ecosystem pieces to be in scale production, because it's one thing to produce 50,000 vehicles plus per year. That's a huge challenge in and of itself, but we need the support framework in the market for that to actually be viable for sales. Alongside that, we're planning to announce, we've been selling on the West Coast primarily since the inception of production. And we believe that in the coming months that we will announce new market areas where we're going to be delivering into. And then finally, where we see the primary capital source that we are targeting for the funding of the capital expenses of scaling production is the Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Loan Program through the Department of Energy. And we are still pushing to get that application in by the end of this year. So what we talked about on the last quarterly call, and I'm going to go through this with Jesse on the next slide as well, is that we believe we're still tracking with the goals that we set out in our Q2 earnings call, and we're real excited about it. So, Jesse, you want to talk a little bit about our near-term piece? And actually, let me before you do that, we did drop another video right at the end of the market, right after the market closed today, and I think this is really important to highlight, which is that our overarching goal is get to scale production. In the near term, we want to make sure that our early adopters are really, really happy with the products that they've got. And so this little piece is just a quick interview with some of the folks who have been early to get Arcimoto vehicles.
I'll tell you, this ride rocks.
It's definitely aptly named as the fun utility vehicle. Fun is all it's about. I would rather drive my Arcimoto than any other vehicle.
I've been driving it everywhere. I'm just like a 16-year-old. I don't even care where I go or why I go there. I go out and I get in and I just drive around.
I love it. It's been a fun vehicle. I've driven it since February in all weather. It is just a hoot.
It's smooth, it's solid, the controls are easy and intuitive. And for the first time in my life, I feel hip.
I think it's really fun just to feel the wind blowing in your face. I love that feeling.
It's a good little grocery getter. It's really fun to throw a kid in the back of this and haul out to soccer practice, and the kids think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, it's a blast. We really enjoy it.
You stay so low to the ground that it handles well. You feel safe, you feel controlled.
I'd also like to give a big shout out to the Arcimoto team. Your workmanship and design is awesome.
I find myself offering to go pick up food for takeout on weekends when we go to order out, because it's just so fun to drive.
Favorite part of owning an FUV is being able to park it anywhere.
The parking is incredible. It does get rock star parking.
Would I recommend people to buy an Arcimoto? Yes. It's probably the vehicle everyone should have.
Very cool, Mark. That leads well into this conversation here. The mission for Q3 and Q4 for Arcimoto has been to deliver a reliable product on time to happy customers. We believe that fulfilling that mission and building the foundation of a company that can do that allows us to successfully scale. So I think that video was a good visual of the happy customers and their feeling of our product. We've had to the other issue is before you get to scale is your supply chain. So that getting all that in order, and our quality team, customer service, sales, all the things that people don't see that are required to deliver a reliable vehicle happened with really good success in Q3.
Awesome. Yeah, and I would say, just to add on to that, we have definitely faced bottlenecks in the process, and that is to be expected in any scale up of an operation. And this, of course, has been compounded by the fact that we are in the midst of a raging pandemic, and that has affected us in a very, I would say, a small amount, in that we have had to really rethink our production processes and our health and safety processes. But it's also been a hit to some of our suppliers, and we're expecting that those will largely be alleviated in Q1. And probably our most significant hurdle has been the manufacturer of vacuum formed plastics. And we are in the process of vertically integrating the build of those components. And that's going to have an effect both on our ability to move materials smoothly through the process. It's going to be a substantial cost reduction for the vehicle. And that's going to come online in Q1. So the elements that we talked about in the Q2 call were targeting 3 per day consistent by the end of Q4. We believe we are still on track for at least 1 week of continuous 3-day production by the end of this quarter. We aim to sustain that throughout Q1. And then by the end of Q1, we believe we are still on target to get to 4 per day. So again, the targets that we outlined in Q2, we believe we are on track. And again, there will be just a heavy caveat to that in terms of the progress of the pandemic. Which leads into the pandemic update. So again, this is going to be near-term revenue uncertainty and full speed ahead for scale planning. So we believe that the health of our team and of our broader community is paramount. We are reliant on every single member of the Arcimoto team to help us get to this next major step of the company. We have to date had 0 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and we attribute that both to the general focus of this within our broader community, as well as the fact that we are taking it very seriously and that our team is taking it very seriously. So we are, again, expecting that production and revenue impact in the near term is primarily due to supply chain, a little bit to manufacturing process improvements. And I think what's also really worth mentioning here is that most of the work we have to do today is planning and engineering for scale production. And that's actually been, I think, going faster as a result of the fact that we are working from home. We're able to much more easily collaborate with people who are in Detroit, who are in Southern California. We're all using the same tools and all using the same language. And we're really getting the hang of working remote and collaborating across the country. So the near-term hits, I think, are pale in disadvantage compared to the huge advantage of moving faster on getting to scale. And then finally, the Roadster, we announced that we teased this over the course of the last couple of weeks. And then we announced just this morning that it is officially a product in development. This will be Arcimoto's Halo product. This is the first product that we are planning to deliver that really goes into an existing, very well understood market, which is the market for fun go things on the road. And I would put vehicles like touring motorcycles, other gas-powered 3-wheelers, sports cars. The fun machine is a well understood category in the marketplace. And we have picked fantastic development partners for this. Corbin Pacific is developing the whole seat and saddle piece of the vehicle, and the National Cycle leader in motorcycle windscreens is developing the windscreen for the Roadster. And partly because the platform is already very stable and good to go, and partly because we've got great team members, we think this is actually going to go into production in the relatively near time frame. So higher margin, simpler build, and as we are running the numbers, and again, I'm going to say this is a highly caveated, forward-looking statement, but we believe that if things go, tightly according to potential, that with the capital that we have on hand, we could build to cash flow positive because of the inclusion of the Roadster in the product family. So that is not to say, again, to get to mass production scale, we think we are going to require substantial additional capital, and we're looking to the non-dilutive advanced technology vehicle manufacturing loan program to get there. But we think that in a lower volume production scenario with the facilities that we have, that the Roadster provides a fundamental shift in the calculus of our product family. So it also gives us a new audience. And as we look to scale, the Roadster is another important arrow in the quiver for building that sales picture into the 50,000 plus units per year realm. Also, I should say that our pre-order customers will have the option to choose a Roadster instead of a fun utility vehicle, should they so desire. And I think as you see where we begin to open new markets, we think some of those new markets that we're going to open in the nearer term will be very optimal for the Roadster as well as the FUV. So stay tuned on the Roadster front, but it's something that we are incredibly excited about. So, just to summarize, I'm going to summarize this, that we have in Q3, we launched multiple high visibility pilot programs. We launched, deepened our collaboration with industry scale experts. We teamed with a global logistics giant for the delivery of our products. We faced incredible challenges from the pandemic to global scale firestorms that were right at our doorstep. And in spite of that, we had a fantastic September of deliveries. Our September year-to-date revenue surpassed every prior full year. Our balance sheet is the strongest it's ever been in the company's history. We did a significant capital raise at the strongest valuation in the company's history, and yet we're maintaining fiscal discipline over every aspect of the process. So got back in the saddle on production and delivery. Our marketing team has been knocking out a bunch of pieces from our beta configurator to new videos that really show much more of the customer experience of the vehicle. And I think those will be very useful tools as we go to scale. So this was, to me, the most fantastic quarter in Arcimoto's history. And I think it lets us build a foundation for the future of success. So with that, I am going to stop sharing these slides and open up to our analyst presentation. So this is going to be, we have our full C-suite here on the call. Chief Operating Officer Terry Becker, Chief Strategy Officer Joshi Fittipaldi, Chief Marketing Officer Eric Fritz, Chief Financial Officer Doug Campoli. At least one of you out there was frustrated that you were only hearing from me, so now you got the whole team. And we've got, in terms of analysts, Samir Joshi from HCW, Michael Shlisky from Colliers, Jed Dorsheimer from Canaccord Genuity, James McIlree from Bradley Woods, and then Galileo Russell from HyperChange. So the way we are going to do this, welcome you all. I'm just going to go through one at a time. You'll get one sort of question dialogue, and then we'll also have Eric Fritz is going to be going through the Q&A submitted by the audience and picking out questions. So who wants to go first? Raise your hand. There we go. Samir's first.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for taking my question. So just confirming, you shipped 31 vehicles in September. So is it around 36 total vehicles during the quarter?
Doug, do you have the number for total vehicles in the quarter?
We shipped 31 during the quarter.
During the quarter, okay.
Yes.
And so stepping back, will you just help us understand for customers who are on the pre-order list, what is, how do they automatically get a notification that they're going to receive this vehicle? And who are these customers? Are there any fleet customers in this list?
So Fritz, you want to take a stab at that, the pre-order to order process?
Sure. As we open up states for delivery, and currently we are delivering to Oregon, Washington, California, we reach out to the pre-order customers in order on that list to give them the opportunity to reserve a spot in our production queue. And it just keeps going until we fill up the production queue. They stay in the order that they were in on the pre-order list. And then as we open up more spots in the production queue, we go further down that list. And as we open up new states, we will reach out to those folks in turn as well. We do have some fleet customers in that list, and we are filling those as we come to them as well.
And to add on to that, we opened up reservations for Q4 production and delivery. I want to say right at the beginning of October, and that we have now fully subscribed our production for Q4. So we're fully booked through Q4. We'll be opening Q1 here soon, in tandem with some announcements coming up.
Right. Maybe I can ask one more question. You have started these pilot programs with HyperChange and Wahlburgers. Do you have any sense of timing on when those pilots will progress and what the next steps are in that?
Sure. Yeah. So the Wahlburgers pilot was actually a sale of a pilot deliberator. So that is going to be ongoing they're using it for the foreseeable future down there in Key West. HyperChange, we haven't picked a terminus of that program. We're basically still in development of the production deliberator, which is going to be where we're sort of building them. We take an FUV at the end of the line with a slightly modified frame, and then our R&D department builds the back end in a pretty labor-intensive process. So the production deliberator will be built using vac form plastics off of our own automated vac form plastic facility within the manufacturing plant. So I would expect that all of our pilot, quote, pilot programs will wrap up once those production deliberators are coming off the line. All right, Galli, I saw your hand up next.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could give us any clarity on the gross margin, sort of now that we're hitting like production's, ramping economies of scale. How do you expect like the gross margin to trend? Like at what point, I guess, is every FUV rolling off the line a positive, throwing off cash for us, I guess?
So I would say, gross margins in Q3 were ugly, and that really has to do with we have fixed costs for production, and we had a lot of fits and starts there. I expect that's going to continue through Q4, and then substantial cost reduction programs that we have been working on will start to come online in Q1 and Q2. And my hope is that by the end of Q2, that we are we're making I think good-looking gross margins. I think that's going to be driven by a couple of things. One are the cost reduction programs that we have in place, and then two is the addition of the Roadster to the mix, because that should be a driver of higher margins in the near term. And then, of course, I would caveat everything that I just said on the basis of the progress of the pandemic, because again, any supply chain disruptions in the near term are going to impact production scale and then also impact margins.
Can I squeeze in one more?
Sure.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent progress. I even bought more stock this last week. I was so pumped. But I was curious, could we, if I was an FUV deliberator customer, or I guess pre-order customer, not necessarily deliberator, and I wanted to get one of these Roadsters instead of a normal FUV? Is that potentially like a Q1, like when you send out these Q1 batches, will people start to be able to get Roadsters then?
Yeah, so we have not announced delivery timeframe for the Roadster. So look for that announcement soon. But I'm optimistic that we're going to be developing it in pretty rapid succession. I mean, we basically shot that Roadster video week and a half ago, and we put the Roadster prototype on a truck on Tuesday. It went to Corbin Pacific for seat development. Mike Corbin took one ride of this, and if you're not familiar with motorcycle industry legend Mike Corbin, he has been developing seats and saddles since before I was born. Set the land speed record for electric motorcycles at Bonneville in '72. He said he took one ride and said, "This is the best riding three-wheeler I have ever ridden." And their team is just jamming on moving forward on what we think is going to be a really nice saddle and storage solution for the Roadster. So they're cooking, National Cycle's cooking, and then we're going to do our part in terms of building the platforms. All right, Michael.
Okay, hey, Mark, thanks for having me on this call. I kind of want to get a feel for some of the numbers around expenses going forward. I saw R&D was up quite a bit from the last quarter. Obviously, this is a post-pandemic number. And you do have two more major platforms or vehicles that are in development right now. But even sales costs were up a little bit in the quarter from the previous quarter. Can you give us some sense as to what the trajectory might be Q4 and the first part of next year, and what's behind those costs? Are there any higher marketing costs? And a little bit about your cash burn expectations as well going into the first part of next year.
So I would say I would expect that our marketing expenses and sales expenses are going to go up slightly in Q4. R&D may track upwards a little bit as well, because again, we're continuing to develop our the FUV, the rapid responder, the Deliverator, now Roadster, although most of that development work is happening with our partners. And then we are also in the process of planning for scale production. And those are going to have ongoing costs as we get up to scale. But we are going to keep a real tight leash, particularly on sales and marketing. We've now fleshed out a fantastic marketing team. And I think you can see that from the output that has happened from our marketing department in just the last month and a half. So I don't see that as growing significantly. Jesse, do you want to add anything here?
I think that you're going to see those costs equal out pretty well with when production starts stabilizing too. So Q1, that's just, we're building the infrastructure and the foundation for that Q1, Q2 production schedule.
Can I ask one other one here, Mark, while I have you here? You've got a bunch of new pre-orders. Your backlog of pre-orders was up, I think, about 10-11% from the prior year here. What is in those newer orders or pre-orders? Are they Deliverators? Are they do you not even know what they are when you get them? Are they hire car? Give me a sense as to what's in that in your most recent orders there.
I would say that probably the bulk of them are fun utility vehicles, but we've definitely had Deliverator orders come in as Deliverator pre-orders, and we'll have. I would say in the next several months, we're going to have a much better picture of what our full pre-order list looks like in terms of balance of products. But we really, again, pre-orders is something that we don't actually push on. Those pre-orders are coming in, either by word of mouth or by earned media. And so we see it as a very good thing that we have had quarter over quarter increases in pre-orders really for years and years.
Got it. Thank you. I'll hop back in line.
Jim.
Hey, Mark, similar to or following on to Michael's question, since you're not really actively marketing for new orders right now, when do you think you're going to have to start doing that in order to in order to get the kind of volumes that you would like to get in the next couple of years?
So, I would say that the primary marketing that we believe we are going to have is word of mouth from our customers. That we are, and if you look at what we did with the customer testimonial video, that's an example of really letting our existing customers speak for us and speak for the product. What we have found in, so the limited advertising that we do is really just all about telling the company's story. So we're going to be we think very smart and targeted about where we put the Arcimoto message. So far, when in the programs that we've run on YouTube and Facebook, we see incredibly high completion rates of video watches. If you think about that, We Build Rides video that you saw at the beginning of the call, approximately 10% of the people who see that video on YouTube as an ad watch it all the way to the end. So 5 minutes, 1 in 10 watch that all the way to the finish. And we think that that is going to be, our advantages will be word of mouth through customers, very low cost of customer acquisition. We found that when we launched our product video back in 2017, is that pre-order acquisition cost us like somewhere between $25 and $50 to get a pre-order when we were actively soliciting for orders. And that was for a company that was not actually delivering products. That was when we were, still years away from production. So we think that as we get a lot of very positive customer responses, as we get vehicles out in the field, and when we talk to our customers, they're saying, I'm selling this thing every day. People are always asking me questions, get tons of thumbs up. They're very excited to learn about the product. And, I think Tesla is famous for doing zero advertising at all. That's not to say they don't spend anything on marketing, but I think we're going to be very efficient about marketing, even as we jump to scale.
And you've given production targets for the end of this quarter and the end of next. Can you give a production target for the end of next year?
So our production target for the end of this year for Q4 is to eclipse what we did in Q2 and Q3. So, we want to do greater than that number added together. And again, jump up to 4 per day by the end of Q1. And then sometime over the summer, we plan to step up, basically double from there. And it's at that point that we think with the right product mix, as we really push units out the door by the end of the summer with the right balance of units, assuming that our cost reduction programs succeed where they will, that's where we think we could conceivably reach positive cash flow. In terms of the number of units, we have not put out guidance for full year for next year. And I'm not going to do that on this call. I think the timing of those jumps is going to have a significant impact. But I would say if you run those numbers and are very conservative about it, I think that would provide a reasonable lower bound. And you were spot on for Q3, if I recall correctly. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Jed.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. It's a first in terms of this format, but I guess you're breaking all sorts of bounds.
Just wait till the end of the call.
So I do have a couple questions for you. So first, if I just look at the production numbers, so 3 a day on a 3-day work week gets me to about an annualized of about 500. When you jump up to the 12 per week, sort of 650 type of level. So if we look at production and kind of unpack the relationship you have with Sandy and how he's helping you kind of scale to that 50,000, which is a huge jump from where you're at right now. I guess I'm curious in terms of your strategy to introduce the Roadster, because it would seem like the margin profile for the deliverator and the first responder is the greatest. So until you get to that scale, why not focus on those vehicles to kind of help you get there versus introducing a fourth product offering to the mix here?
So I would say there are probably 3 reasons why. One is that we believe that the margin profile for the Roadster is going to be better than the deliverator and the rapid responder. We are going to position it as a halo product for the brand. It will be more expensive than or equal in expense to whatever else we're selling. And we think it is going to compete well in the fun vehicle space. And I should say with the Roadster, what surprised me most about actually riding the prototype was how surprised I was at how awesome the ride is. And you can take my word for it. You can take Mike Corbin's word for it. You can try it yourself. It is an experience unlike anything else on the road. And for people who are looking for a super fun machine, we think it's going to be a very good option. And if you look at, so I read Polaris's Q3, and they have seen a significant increase in motorcycle sales, a significant increase in slingshot sales. What you're having with, the pandemic started off at last mile delivery going to the moon. And now I think a lot of people just are looking for outlets for fun. And if you think about the 10,000 people a day who turn 65, that is a giant market of fun seekers out there who we think will be good candidates for the Roadster. The second thing is that the Roadster is a simpler vehicle for us to build. That by taking away the upper frame assembly, that is a big component for us of both the assembly process and then the subcomponent assembly. So we think we can actually do higher output of vehicles with the space that we have now, with the Roadster in the mix, than without it. And then finally, as we look to build the overall scale production picture, we want to make sure that we have a sales pipeline that hits, that fills to that 50,000 plus units per year. And we think the Roadster is going to be a nice piece of that overall puzzle.
So if we think, you do have some control over based on how you price the models accordingly in terms of what that demand profile in your pipeline looks like in terms of that build. Should we then think through the strategy of kind of when you look at the cost of the Roadster, that you're aggressive on that and the Deliverator and the first responder, just based on the contribution margin of those, or are you going to be equal across?
So I think the Roadster will have a higher margin than either of the other two. Although Rapid Responder is another one where we think that the market is going to be a little bit less sensitive to the price. Ultimately, for delivery, for the Deliverator to really work as a mass fleet solution, we think it needs to be aggressively priced. So that's a volume play that really comes in as we hit those mass production volumes, and then becomes a really viable option for gig drivers and for large fleet deployments. So the idea here is really to synergize in time our product introductions and ramps to maximize both near-term margins as well as I think it is important to have a halo product in the family, something that really goes, that people are going to really jump onto in terms of just the pure thrill and joy of riding it down the road. We have that with the FUV, and the FUV is an incredibly fun vehicle to drive, as all of our customers say. But when you take away that upper frame, and you put the rider in a more aggressive stance where you're really connected with the machine, it takes it to a whole new level.
Got it. One last one for me, then I'll jump back in queue. So if I just look at deposits, deposit number was down year over year, but the number of pre-orders was up. So can you just help myself and others in terms of the math there?
Yeah, so we include we have two distribution agreements that are a piece of that for other areas of the world that don't fit into our deposit category. All the rest are individual customer pre-orders. And so that's where the balance of that comes out.
Great, thank you.
Fritz, got anything from the audience that ties in here?
Quite a bit, actually. And my apologies in advance to anyone's who I specifically call out that I butcher their name, but here we go. Quite a few questions about Monroe and Associates? And can you describe in any sort of detail the fruits of that relationship, the timing that we might see on improvements, and specifically from Eric Eigenman, while I have no doubt that Monroe & Associates will be able to help you going forward scaling the operations, I would like to know how you ensure that the know-how stays with Arcimoto and you will not be dependent on Monroe going forward.
I think that last question is really fundamental. And I would say what is so cool to me about Monroe, of many things, is that their whole philosophy is to teach the teams that they work with, so that when they leave, they're not just walking out the door with all the, what they're doing is they are helping us really level up our production thinking as we go to scale, in addition to diving in on some very key engineering challenges as we go to scale. And I talked a little bit about this earlier in the slide presentation. We now, where we started over the summer was kind of an exhaustive set of workshops about all the bits and pieces of the vehicle. And now we're actually diving into the real engineering projects. So we have a master services agreement with them. We're diving in on our first three pieces of work. And we expect those to continue over the development towards scale production. All right, back to the. Do you want to maybe throw in another one or two there, Fritz?
Sure. Let me see here. Robert Goff asks, I see that it is incredible positive that you have same quarter prior year increase in revenue of about 1,818%. What kind of demand in the form of sales have you seen for your vehicles per segment? And then follow on, what kind of demand increase do you forecast over the next 5 years? For the next 5 years, that's a big question. I would say I think it is promising that we again have had quarter-over-quarter net increase in pre-orders. We hope that continues. We are also seeing that once we opened production reservations for Q4, we quickly filled those production reservations, and we're now fully subscribed for Q4. So our goal over the next 5 years is to scale into the hundreds of thousands of units globally. And I think it is still early to predict, way too early to predict, what the clear segmentation of that will be in terms of our overall product family. But I expect that both Deliverator and Fun Utility Vehicle are going to make up kind of the significant scale of our scale production, that Rapid Responder and Roadster will be narrower slices but higher margin of the overall scale picture. Robert Goff, as long as we're on his name, had another question. I see also that you have roughly 17 million in cash and cash equivalents, a solid increase from the end of 2019. If you would, please describe your approach to capital allocation, including major uses and sources of cash over the next 3 to 5 years, and explain how actions taken this quarter have contributed to that plan.
Yeah, so and we touched on this a little bit with Mike's questions. We're expecting modest increases in R&D, very modest increases in marketing, where the bulk of the cash that we spend is going to go is in capital outlays to go to scale production. And that'll include expanded facilities, a higher automated assembly line, tooling for scale production processes that are going at higher rate. And so in terms of what we've done and are doing this quarter, is the big action item there is to get our advanced technology vehicle manufacturing loan program loan application into the Department of Energy. The process of the federal government has been moving quite slowly, particularly on the political side in the build up to the election. We think that there is going to open up a window in the near future where things are moving much faster. And so we want to be ready with an application. And so that is a lot of our work, both internally and with Monroe, is the planning and really getting our arms around what needs to go in that application. And so we're after this earnings call, that becomes the full court press from the finance and manufacturing teams on the planning side to get that application in. All right, back to the top. Samir.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that the inventory has been going up a little bit. Is this because of quality issues that you're trying to address with parts that may fail and come back, or is it that you're building up supply to address the supplier issue?
I would say probably a bit of both, but Terry, maybe you want to put a little more color on that.
Sure. If I understood your question, it had to do with the level of inventory. Yes. It takes a lot of parts to make a vehicle, of course, and you have to have all of those parts. So as we've struggled with the supply chain just in a couple areas that have stuttered either to the COVID pandemic or to quality issues, the other parts continue to come in. And as you may know, we planned on having all of those parts end up in vehicles and leave sooner rather than later. So that causes the inventory to pile up just a little bit. But going forward, the advantage going forward is we take our foot off the gas just a little bit with the parts that we do have stockpiled, and we're doing a good job of relieving the roadblocks that are making us stutter just a little bit. So it will even out, but the year 2020 has been one of the more difficult forecasting and evening out years. Certainly the most difficult one I've seen.
Yeah, and to that, I think to that point, our goal right now, over and above anything, is really good customer experience, and then smoothing out all the bottlenecks in the process from materials all the way through to vehicle delivery and service after delivery, to make sure that what's now been a pretty stutter step process is a smoothly flowing river. And we think that we're seeing light around the corner on that. It's certainly still going to be a challenge in Q4 and likely into Q1, but we're working diligently to alleviate those bottlenecks at the same time that we're driving down our cost of goods sold. So
just a quick follow-up on the quality issues. Can you give us an update on what kind of issues you are facing, and how quickly are you addressing those?
So we've had, it really runs the gamut. There have been a few, and I would say probably, Terry, would you say plastics has been our biggest pain point there?
I would say that the biggest problem we've had has been with bodywork. There are a lot of bodywork panels, and I would also say that the supply chains that we use to receive that bodywork has been hit by workforce problems through the pandemic, probably worse than any other supplier we've had. The good thing going forward is the thermoforming capability is what we're bringing in-house in Q1, which we will, and I've seen a couple of questions about how much do you intend to vertically integrate. That's our next vertical integration play, is to bring in the thermoforming piece of the puzzle, which puts it squarely into our own our capability. We'll be in control of the entire schedule of that. And it will also take some cost out because our margins will improve on those parts and pieces.
Good luck. Thanks.
All right. We're going to have to do a rapid fire round. Galileo, do you have another quick one? All right, Mike.
All right, thanks, Mark. You folks lowered the base price of the vehicle recently with your new configurator service. And I'm kind of curious whether any of your more recent orders have been at those lower prices, or if people added all the options on to the higher price versions.
Fritz, you want to hit that? Has anybody ordered just a base model?
There have been a few, just a couple. Terry's shaking his head. I believe we currently have an average selling price as configured of around 21 to 22. So many of them are using the options to upgrade, but there have been a couple at the base price.
So is it actually a higher ASP now since you launched the configurator rather than lower?
Well, the Evergreen was priced at $19,900, but it actually had options for customization on top of that as well.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That was one of the things that actually surprised us. Was the Evergreen was originally supposed to not have options, and customers kept demanding them, so we added them in. And one of the things that on Galileo's question early on about the margin that I think was a really good milestone that we met in the third quarter was an average sales price of about $22,600, which got us, and the reductions in the materials cost in the bill of materials got us to a positive gross margin as far as the materials in the quarter. That was a very good milestone, I think.
Thank you.
All right, Jim.
When do you think you're going to get the bulk of the Monroe recommendations implemented?
I think that's going to be an ongoing process for the next, 20 months plus. We plan to be working with them hand in hand through this scaling process. All right, Jed.
So if I just look at the numbers and I do some quick math, $20,000 ASP for the quarter, the vast majority are FUVs. Your loss is anyone who's buying a vehicle at this price is getting a fantastic deal when I look at your cost structure right now. So, kind of a follow-up to Jim's previous question about Monroe, again, strategy-wise, why not focus on the deliverator and the first responder? Maybe the Roadster has a lower cost, but I would think you almost want to steer people away from the FUV until you can actually get your cost structure at a much more reasonable level. So you're not, basically giving the, or I don't want to say giving away, but you ostensibly are. People are getting a fantastic deal at these levels.
Yeah, you don't want to ship money in the trunk. There's no question about that. And when we're at very low unit production, which was Q3, there's no avoiding that given the overhead of the business and the efforts to get to scale. To your point, driving people away from the FUV and to other offerings, we think that the Roadster is going to be a great product for some of our FUV customers. We are also planning on having the rapid responder be essentially production ready before the end of the year. We're in an upfitter vetting process. And again, that one's going to have a very different market to go after. So, that being said, we definitely have pre-order customers who've been waiting a very long time for fun utility vehicles, and we want to make sure that they are satisfied as well. The margins don't start to look good on the deliverator until we have that vertically integrated plastics production, and we're vac forming those panels rather than making them as art projects. And that is coming soon. So again, I look at this all as still, startup phase, building out the market, building out the product family, prepping for scale. And then on the other side of that, just a giant market opportunity and, a real solution for the world. So it's going to take investment on our part to get there. And part of that is reflected in ugly upfront margins.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Fritz, we're almost to the end of the hour. You got a couple last questions from the audience?
Yes, several questions on the DHL partnerships and what that means for nationwide delivery timing.
As we talked about in the near-term plan is that we will have announcements in the near future about additional markets that we're going to open. So while DHL has the ability to ship to all 48 states almost right out the gate, we still need to make sure that we have the proper care and maintenance capabilities online in each market that we go into. So that's going to be the major gating factor, is getting our service scaled up. And what we are doing right now is we are building really the comprehensive service training materials. Our vision for service is that we rely on in-market partners for a major piece of that in markets that are populous in terms of Arcimoto customers. We'll also have mobile service hitting new markets. But I would say stay tuned on new markets that we're opening. Probably most critical for us in the near term is Florida. We have a ton of pre-order customers in Florida, and so that's one that we're working on in the very near term, and then also some spots up in the Northeast, with the goal that we want to, obviously a lot of folks out there have been waiting a very long time to get their Arcimotos. We feel that the pandemic has been a major slowdown for us in that regard, but we are working very diligently to get to the point where we can deliver nationwide and get everybody's orders in their driveways. Any more?
We also have several questions about technology. Seems like we have a lot of Tesla fans out there in the audience. Questions about potential partnerships integrating technology, whether it be battery technology or autonomous technology.
Great questions. If you didn't catch Tesla's Battery Day presentation, they just put out a mind-blowing presentation for anyone who has been in the field for a long time in terms of what they are doing, both on the vertical integration of production of battery cells, on the sustainability components of battery production, not shipping the same grain of sand around the world 6 times, and then the sort of digging ditches and filling them in that has been typical of the battery production process for lithium-ion batteries. They've figured out ways to get around a lot of that. So that's a major cost reduction driver. It's core to the mission of sustainability of Arcimoto, that we have sustainable constituent parts. So at the point that Tesla decides that they want to sell and supply cells to the broader market, if they ever get there, that is a conversation we would certainly be willing to entertain. And when it comes to autonomy, we think that the Arcimoto platform will make a fantastic platform for autonomous driving, both for delivering people and for delivering products. The same thesis of the Arcimoto platform, which is that it makes no sense to drive a 4,000-pound vehicle to carry, on a good day, a 200-pound dude around town. We think that thesis holds in the autonomous world. Now, we have never been capitalized to go after the sensor and software problem in addition to getting production up and running. So our focus is get to scale production of the platform. But we think that at that point, that this platform will be a good host to autonomous technologies, and what Tesla's working on. There are any number of players in the field who have very promising solutions that are coming to the fore, and so we think Arcimoto is going to be in a good position to offer a pathway into the market for those technologies. And I think with that, we're over time.
Real quick, let me just say there's not one more. There's just plenty of questions that we didn't get to. So if you didn't get it answered, go ahead and send us an email to investor@arcimoto.com and we'll try and answer it for you.
Yep, investor@arcimoto.com. If you're not signed up for our investor updates, you can do that on arcimoto.com/IR, as well as our newsletter, arcimoto.com/preorder, if you haven't gotten in line yet. And there was one final question from the last earnings call that I didn't get to, which is that somebody asked if those instruments ever come off the wall and I play them, and asked to play a song. So this time we're going to do something that we think is unprecedented in NASDAQ earnings calls, which is an Arcimoto sing-along. I'm going to share the lyrics. Everybody else on this call should be muted. And this was a song written by my Uncle John, who happens to be let's see, here we go. This is what's this to the tune of, John? The Fox. So this is to the tune of the Fox. And I a couple of guests out on the front porch. Got the I'm new to the banjo, so I'm going to be plucking along. But feel free to join in. I'm joined by Julia Frantz, who is a fantastic violinist with the Eugene Symphony. John Frohnmayer, world-class rower, former chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts. And we're going to play you a little Arcimoto song. All right. You ready?
We are ready. Feel the breeze and ditch the gas. Love the earth and make her last. Find utility on three wheels. That's us at Arcimoto. Responder gets there fast. Deliverators built to last. They're ramping up new building time with their roadsters on the road. Fun utility on the road. That's us at Arcimoto. Fun utility on the road. That's us at Arcimoto.
That's all we know. That's all we got.